how was the West settled?
Okay, the
how
West
does all
was
this
settled.
grazing come into place, and how do wild horses and cattle fit into that?
All right. If you are from New York City, you look far back enough in that and you will find out that you were one of the original 13 colonies. And at some time, whether it was King George or the United States government, there's a deed, that's, there is a contract that you have to own some land in New York. They wanted to settle the West, manifest destiny. They wanted to settle the West, the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, Thomas Jefferson, all these things. They kept going west, the war with Mexico, different treaties, different situations. When there was a big enough population, the Constitution said you could become statehood, first a territory, then a state. They, as an inducement to get people to come west, they gave them, if they lived on the land for 4 years, they'd get 160 acres. They had other things like the Swamp Act. You had to have more money of your own. But the government made contracts, legal binding contracts, that you could own land by its development. Swamp Act took more, grazing homesteads were less prosperous. Well, once they got to the west, they got the land that was huge and not as productive as back where they had lots of rainfall. So their deal was there. They allowed them desert land entries, and the state issued water rights. So I might own water rights on 100 springs. They all raise on the government land, they sink into the government land, but I'm allowed to use my livestock on that range in a husband-like manner. There's nothing in there that says I'm allowed to abuse it, ever. The Tailored Grazing Act came along not because of anything that somebody was into conservation. It's they were trying to eliminate the Pascos and the Irishmen and the last guys that came out here to herd sheep, and the last guy to come out here, and they already had contracts, they already had meets and bounds, and you didn't need to own the ground, you just needed to own the use of the water. Once you control the water, you control the range. The environmentalists are doing the same thing. They're putting all the parameters on the riparian, on the water, to deny the ranchers the use of the range. So now here comes the wild horse in 1971, and all of a sudden the advocacy group was so well armed, so well moneyed up, they became a bigger force than the ranchers. So it was easier for the Bureau of Land Management to come to me and say, get your livestock off of your range that was made a deal with and a chain of title all the way back to the 1860s. But nonetheless, we can't deal with the advocacy group because they're too powerful, they own too many senators, congressmen, and I don't want to end my career in Point Barrow, Alaska, counting polar bear turds. So get your cows off of my range.